Hi, everyone. This is the Soul Path Community class, and today we're going to be talking about the upcoming conjunction of Mars, Uranus, and Algol. And this is exact on July 15th, but I'll say we've all been feeling it for a few weeks as it's been getting closer and closer. I'm bringing you this class today from downtown San Francisco, and so everything's a little bit different. We'll see how it works out. Now, here we are with the chart of the exact moment. And you can see that this will be 7:05 a.m. Pacific. That means it's around 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern and your time zone, wherever that is. The exactness of it is 26 degrees of Taurus. Now, we know Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, and it's almost finished this time period. And we're going to break down each planet and of course the fixed star Algol and what that means, what they each mean, what Taurus means. And we're going to get a sense in today's class about what this joining together of these energies can possibly be, a little bit in a global way, definitely in a personal way. We will have a meditation to work with it, and you can be looking at your own chart so that you can come up with your own theories about how it works for you and work to embody this energy in a co-creative way, working with the energy to its most positive. And I think it's especially important that we do this with a planet such as Mars or Uranus or the energy of Algol, because as we'll see, these guys do not have a good reputation. They have kind of a fearsome reputation, possibilities of bad things. But we need to remember that even when something has a possibility of being associated with a difficult experience, that the likelihood, the percentage likelihood of that kind of difficult experience happening to you or even to a lot of people is pretty low. But meanwhile, all of the other energies that each one of these bodies is connected with are also possibilities. And that's why the study of astrology is important for us, is so that we're aware of what we're feeling and we have a framework for it. And instead of just thinking we're feeling a certain way, we're always going to feel a certain way, which is sort of a human nature kind of a thing, we can say, oh, this has been going on for a period of time, and then it's going to be over, and then we're going to be with the next period of time. So day by day, moment by moment, and yet there's this sense of the structure that we're working with, and the sky gives us the weather report for the structure. Now, in this chart, we see that a lot of the energies we have been dealing with and talking about for some time are in the sky at the moment of this conjunction. We have the nodes in Libra and Aries asking us to let go of ways we give too much to others and be a little bit more in our own life force and expression. Pluto is retrograde now, but it's at 1 degree of Aquarius. And Pluto, the planet of transformation, working with the shadow, dredging up things we need to look at. It's kind of important to notice that even though it's out of sign, you can see this little light trine formation there. Pluto in Aquarius, bringing us into a powerful understanding of this new age we're entering, where we're meant to become more equal, technological, thinking about humanity, all the positive things that Aquarius can bring to us. And yet, being aware of the shadow side where it can be too rational, too dissociated, too chaotic. It's out of sign because a natural trine would take it into Gemini, but it is in a trine with Algol, Mars, and Uranus at this time. So it adds a little bit of extra power, and it adds a little bit about this Aquarian vibration that we are moving into. It's also worth noticing here that Neptune, the planet of high love, oneness, transcendent creativity in Pisces, and it's been there since 2010, 2011, retrograde, so a little bit more of a deep dive back into some material we've already covered. It is in a sextile with the Taurus energy. And so that gives a spiritual vibration, a compassionate vibration to what's going on in Taurus. And meanwhile, you can see that there's another sextile to the sun in Cancer at this time. Now, the exactness of this is July 15th, that's Monday at 7:04, 7:05 in the morning. And but it's not operating alone. We're going to break it down and talk about what it means. But the sun, that fiery star that is about at this moment traveling through the force field of Cancer, nurturing, healing, unconditional love, questions of home and family, that's feeding into the Taurus and also the Pisces energy. So we get water and emotion that's connected to this conjunction. At the same time, we get air, mental, rational thinking that is coming to us via the energy of Pluto. And you can see that the moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign opposite Taurus. And as the day goes on, that moon will move more and more into an exact opposition with the Taurus energy. This creates kind of a dynamic pull where there is a need to balance and harmonize and maybe compromise between moon in Scorpio's intensity and need for honesty and intimacy and depth, and Taurus, which generally likes to keep things more secure, content, easygoing. Now, we'll see as we go forward that the planets in Taurus, Uranus, Mars, and Algol, this fixed star, they're not really about contentment. So each one of them is operating in a sign that feels a little bit uncomfortable to that planetary mission. We'll start with Mars here. And Mars is often considered the warrior planet. It is fundamentally the drive within us that is about our will, our inner will to accomplish something, to make something happen. It's an initiating force. It connects to very deep desire that we have. And when we're working with our Mars, we embody courage and bravery. We have a sense of life force. I think of Mars and Aries energy as, the blades of grass that come up through the cracks in the sidewalk, going, I am here. I am here. I'm alive. I feel the sun in my face and the air. And I'm gonna be birthed wherever I can be birthed. A lot of times Mars feels like self-orientation. There is a deep sense of it's all about me. The buck stops with me. I need what I need. I want what I want. I want it now. And that can lead to negative associations with Mars as being too aggressive, competitive, maybe even violent. And Mars is, said to rule things like knives and cutting, metals, things that are intense. But we can think of each one of these things as something that has a gift in it and something that we can use, like we can cut through the places where we feel stuck. We can aggressively pursue what we need instead of holding back and just letting things happen. It sort of ties into that nodal axis structure, helping us come into the Aries and let go more of that Libra tendency to vacillate, go around in circles. Mars says, jump in, just do it, go for it, make it happen. If it doesn't work out very well, we'll go to the next adventure and we'll make that work out well. So Mars, as this fiery life force, and in the sign of Taurus, we're going to talk about that. Maybe it gets a little bit slowed down, but it still has a job to do. Every planet represents an inner part of us that has an agenda in order to feel something or to accomplish something. And Mars's agenda is to initiate and to move our desires forward. And we can think of desire on a couple of levels. I mean, desire can be very human and ego-based, but desire and will can come from the soul. It can come from a deep urge inside of us of what we're here for, why we are alive. So we don't want to just minimize Mars and say it's just about ego, because it isn't. That will can be like high self, it can be high level will, the will of the soul. The will of the soul, vibrationally, as we're all one, is like the will of the god goddess. We can take our Mars to that place. Now, Uranus, the Aquarian planet, has been in the sign of Taurus since 2018 and is, here to like create breakthroughs. I usually start with Uranus at that midpoint level, that it is about authenticity. And authenticity and freedom can be qualities that we're all capable of harnessing. Uranus points out to us very clearly where we are not getting it, where we're stuck, where we are dredging in duty and responsibility, and we're not being ourselves. We're doing what we think other people need from us or want from us. Now, at the highest level of Uranus, the spiritual concepts like duty and responsibility, they're sort of off to the side. They're like, that's not what this is about anymore. It is about the highest spiritual awareness, as we might have learned from Krishnamurti or Adyashanti, where we come into freedom and liberation, enlightenment, even if it's just for moments. It's that cracking of the lightning coming through. I really like this image for Uranus because lightning strikes, it's fast, right? It just comes in. And Uranian quality is often like that. It is like a brilliant idea, an invention, a channeling, something that is new and different, something that is technological. And we see this lightning coming down in this cityscape, and the city feels like, the mental hustle and bustle, and we're building something and we're busy and we're doing all these things. And then Uranus comes in and says, what are you doing? Are you free enough? Is it authentic? Here's a new idea. Build this, make this different. So we experience these radical changes with Uranus. We have shocking events that will sometimes happen, and we can feel the instability of it. Sometimes in a Uranus transit, you're like, what was that, Alice in Wonderland, with a 50 different ideas before breakfast. I want this, I don't want that, this is happening, no, it's not, that's not happening. We feel like we're just being shaken up. And we often have to wait until the end of the transit before we fully know what this new, different, changing truth is for us. And then we can take the actions. And on the more negative or shadowy side of Uranus, we can have accidents, general instability, too changeable to get anything really going. And sometimes there's just this feeling of insanity with it. It's just things are too much, and there's not the groundedness that we need. Now, Algol is something that you may not have heard of or know maybe less about than the basic planets. With the fixed stars, let's talk about that first. The ancients really put a lot of emphasis on the fixed stars because they could see them. They didn't have telescopes. They could see a star shining, it stayed in the same position, and they saw when certain things happened that it was associated with events. And Algol is what's called like a binary star. It kind of has its own little eclipses, and so it tends to shine on and off, which is kind of unusual. If you're watching the sky and you're seeing that and you're wondering, when it shines, this happens. When it doesn't shine, when it flickers, this is happening. What does that mean? So the original nature of Algol was considered really one of the most negative stars that there was. The words entered the hell realm as I was researching more about it. Demonic is often what it was considered. And there was a belief that it had to do with neck and throat injuries. And we could, take that to a more metaphorical level and talk about it being losing your mind, that somehow you get cut off between body and mind, and think about it that way. Because, in any kind of like algol in your chart, natally, or an algol transit, certainly we're not all having a neck injury. But with the fixed stars, when we're looking at it in your chart, only if Algol is conjunct within 1 or 2 degrees of an angle or a planet in your chart. So remember, it's at 26 degrees. Our whole lives, it's been 25, 26. The fixed stars really don't move, or move, over thousands of years. If you have Algol in your chart connected to something, then that means that maybe you would take this energy a little bit more seriously and work with it strongly, and especially in this transit coming up. Now, when I did the Google search for Algol, it said of the nature of Saturn and Jupiter. Whereas some other things that I saw said, of the nature of Mars, Uranus, and Pluto, which Mars and Uranus are coming to it and Pluto is activated. So Algol is sort of getting its own energy fed to it in this upcoming transit. But Saturn and Jupiter also made sense to me because Saturn and Jupiter were planets that could be seen visually without telescopes long ago. And so that was about as far out as we could go. Uranus and Pluto were not known by the ancient astrologers. So Saturn was considered, the blockage and a lot about the karma. And Jupiter could be expansion and positivity, but if Jupiter is expanding Saturn, that's often not so good. So back to the definition, the ancient definition was it causes misfortune, violence, decapitation, hanging, electrocution, and mob violence, and gives a dogged and violent nature that causes death to the native or others. It is the most evil star in the heavens. And again, it's like, talk about hyperbole. Like, not everybody, we all have Algol in our chart somewhere, and we are not all evil. And even if you have it close to you, there's all kinds of wonderful, famous people who have it connected, conjunct to a planet, and they're just fine. They're not dying horrible deaths or killing people. So there's got to be another way to think about it. So I don't think a lot about mythology, although I love it, but and I'm not an expert in mythology, let's put it that way. But it is interesting to know about Algol and the myth energy that it's connected. So Medusa was one of the 3 Gorgons, and she was the one that was actually like an earthling, a human. And Neptune impregnated her in Athena's temple, which is, I didn't really want to put it in words, but, by force. And yet Athena punished her. And for doing that, she actually had a couple of babies out of it. And Athena turned her hair to snakes and made her look hideous. And when she was so hideous with this snake head that when people saw her, they turned to stone. Now Perseus comes along, and Perseus beheads her and takes the head and uses it as a weapon in war and in battle, and then gave it to Athena to put on her shield, and so that she could use it in her wars. So I was thinking about this, and the vibrational energy of this reminds me a lot of the Lilith stories, where it's a lot about women being blamed for the things that happen when they are abused by men. And then there is this power that's in it as well. And, the power gets used, and maybe not by the original person who's been victimized. So there's this very complicated energy around Algol. And I was visiting with my friend Greg Bogart the other day. Some of you know who he is. He's a psychologist and a really gifted astrologer who's written a lot of books. He does a lot of work on dream work. And he pointed out to me when I was talking about Medusa and this Algol thing that I was getting ready to teach this class, he said, well, I remember your dream and the headdress of snakes. And I'm like, what? I don't remember that dream at all. Well, he dug it out because there was a time when he was preparing to write a book about dreams, and he had some of us come to his office, and we did some dream work, talking about a dream we had and tying it into the astrology chart, which is so interesting because it's always the dreams are exactly connected to your current astrological transits. Anyway, in this dream that I brought in, a bunch of little things were happening, dream splits as they do, and suddenly I saw this headdress of snakes, and it was mine. And I didn't have it turned on. And as I picked it up, the light shone up, and I realized that I had it waiting there for me, and until the right time. And now that I knew that it was the right time, it lit up, and I had to choose to do that. So this is interesting about this class, and the fact that you could have a dream about having a headdress of snakes, and it could mean something about lighting something up that you were waiting to use. And it also fits with Saturday's class. I know some of you are signed up for that, for the workshop series this summer. And on Saturday's class, we're going to look at past lives where we've been persecuted and how that has affected us to hold our light back, to not be willing to step out as psychics and astrologers and healers and all the gifts we're bringing in because it's gone so badly before. And so if you haven't signed up for that class yet, it's going to be really powerful. We're going to do a lot of aura clearing and past life regression, and it ties into what is happening this weekend with Mars Uranus coming and joining with Algol. Because really, if we extrapolate out of this myth, and the myth, just to be clear about the sky of it, the constellation, there is a constellation called Perseus, and Algol, the fixed star, is right at the head of Medusa. So Perseus in the constellation is seen to be holding the head of snakes. And that's where the fixed star Algol is. So that's how Algol gets tied in with Medusa and Perseus in this whole story. So, but to go to what's really relevant to us, we need to look at the deeper qualities that this is about. And it's very plutonic. I mean, really, someone, being harmed and attacked and then being persecuted for that, being persecuted for originally being beautiful and being made to not show the beauty, instead to be scary. We come to issues of power, transformation, the magic. There is a certain psychic magic that apparently gets released through Algol. There is the issue of protection. Like, are you protected by the women in your family or in your community or in the world? Or, are women harming each other and contributing to the patriarchal culture that does not express and allow women to have gifts, power, sexuality, sensuality, beauty? So magic and the psychic energies are potentially caught up in Algol. Confidence, the ability to be awakened. So all of these issues, all of these qualities are in this potential of Algol. And instead of talking about that a lot and knowing about that and embodying it, what happens is we say, oh, Algol is the demonic and it's about getting your head chopped off. So be careful, be careful. And so many of us are trying to be careful and not speaking out, not make waves, not talk about what we really see and what we really know and the dreams we have, the way that we need to take back the world and have it be more harmonious in the way that we wish to care for our families. So let's think for a moment from here, okay, so Mars, Uranus, Algol. Let's go to Taurus. Oh, Taurus. The evolved qualities of Taurus are security, stability, safety, steadiness. A good Taurus is grounded and loyal, easeful. You just feel like a warm hug connected to a good Taurus vibe. And at the average level, we find Taurus to be, sometimes hardworking, sometimes pleasure-seeking, but generally reliable and stable. And then we can come into the shadow side and we can think about some Taurus energy gets to be more greedy, steeped in insecurity, overly fixed, stubborn and stuck, lethargic, slothful, maybe even passive aggressive. So those qualities are there. If Taurus doesn't want to move, you're not going to get him to move. And it's funny how they can be, kind of lazy, seemingly lazy, not wanting to expend extra energy unless they're sure it's worthwhile. But when they're sure it's worthwhile and something they want to do, they're hardworking like Energizer bunnies. You can't stop them. So that whole energy, that whole thing is inside of us. And everybody has 30 degrees of Taurus in their chart somewhere. And this is where you can be secure, steady, reliable, and loyal, or you can be lazy and stuck. And having these planets come together is a big burst of energy to get unstuck in any kind of Taurus way that you are. So if you need to put more energy into your financial situation, and I'll say that my third workshop of the summer series is about healing the karmic dynamics of money. If you need to move, change things, change jobs, change relationships, anywhere where you're holding on to security, any kind, financial, emotional, physical. Mars is coming in saying, go for it, make it happen in a nice, slow, steady way, but make it happen. Uranus is coming in saying, I'm going to crack that lightning into you and break things up. And Algol is saying, you know what, don't lose your head and kind of lose it, but instead release the deep, magical, psychic, powerful, sexual, wild energy that's inside you. And when I say sexual energy, I'm not specifically talking about body sex. I'm talking about that intense life force and vitality. There's a Mars quality to it also. There's an Aquarian quality of like just being authentic. All of that is coming together, and we're feeling it now. We've been feeling it slightly for weeks. It's coming together, and we get to work with it. So, where is it in your chart? Where's 26 degrees of Taurus? What kind of a breakthrough do you feel you need? And you can look at all the fixed signs, right? Opposite Taurus, Scorpio, and then squaring Aquarius and Leo. So the later degrees, all around 26, maybe a little bit into the early degrees that follow the signs. So what sign follows Taurus? Right? It's Gemini. So we get into the mutables, a little bit into the mutables that are early. But strongly, 26 Taurus. Do you need a breakthrough? Where can you step into your power? And Algol, throat, voice being restricted. I believe truly that we've all been persecuted in prior lives. Many of us also got persecuted in this life, in families that said children should be seen and not heard. And when I tell you to do something, you don't question it. You jump to it, you do it. So we lose sometimes our ability to speak authentically without fear. And then when we come into any of this kind of work, and maybe it's even any kind of work, whistleblowers, whatever you're doing, when you're seeing things that are corrupt, are you safe to talk about them? So this is what I'm going to invite you to look at and to work with in the meditation that is to follow. You can stop this recording now if you're not in a place to meditate. But if you are in a place for meditation, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and allow the breath to become deeper and slower. Really feel the breath going into the physical body. Imagining the roots that drop down from your feet, like the roots of a tree, with a taproot dropping from the tailbone like a thick rope down deep into even the center of the earth. Allow the breath to take you down into the earth with those roots, torus, rocks, layers of the earth's crust. Imagining your feet on warm grass, wherever you are. Drawing the healing energy of the earth up through your roots, along the central core of your spine. Feeling that healing energy rise up through the crown of your head. Go up. Breathing yourself up through the sky. Going higher and higher. And connecting to the cosmic light. Here you might think of Uranus, high frequency electric vibration, but take it beyond that and take it to massive levels of love and light, golden, and bring it down. Breathing it down through you, letting it go through your legs, the roots, the grounding cord, and feed the earth. Imagine that with each breath, you're mixing these energies in your heart. Cosmos and earth. And with every breath, they spread out into the cells of the body, down the shoulders to the fingertips, flowing in circles through the organs, healing everything this energy touches. Spreading the energy out so that it's like a bubble of light all the way around you. In this bubble of light, imagine that you're traveling through time and space. And you're arriving in a beautiful place in nature. Really feeling the ground beneath you. Make sure this is a nature place that you love, that you feel safe and protected. You might take in trees or a meadow or water. Maybe it would be nice to have a vista, be up a little bit, or a cave or a lagoon. Animals are very much of Taurus. So you might call in your spirit animal or animals. That may be birds or reptiles or some other kind of being, but could be just any animal that you feel aligned with. Let yourself feel that support of the animal world. A human life, just another animal. Notice what animal comes in first and how you feel with them. I'm going to ask you a few questions to ponder. You can write things down if you want, or wait till later. First question, Where are you stuck in life? What repeating issue do you have that you wish you could change, but it just seems hard? Circumstances are not easy. And just let those ideas arise. You might realize some things that you don't normally think about. Second question, in what ways and with what people in your life do you hold back your voice? Do you not tell the truth, be authentic, let that light shine, put on your snake headdress? In what circumstances are you playing small? The third and final question is, what are the solutions to being stuck or not speaking out? You may have already thought about them and dismissed them as unrealistic for now, but just let those solutions come to you. And then imagine this vibrant, magical energy, Uranus breaking you through, free, breaking through, Mars moving things forward, making it happen, Algol releasing the magic, the power, the transformational quality, turning that story around so that you're not being punished for things you didn't do. You can be all of you. Imagine this energy, whether you're doing this meditation at the time of the conjunction on July 15th, before, after, time doesn't exist. Call in these forces, Mars, Uranus, Algol, to help you break free and be your most wild, authentic, powerful self. Breathe in this energy. Feel it fill up every cell, all your chakras, the whole aura. Become a force. Force for good, a force for healing, a force for enlightenment. In grand ways and tiny ways. Feel yourself turning on the light switches. The world needs you now. We are all needed. your time as long as you want in this place, turning on your light, shining, speaking your voice, opening up that throat chakra, never to be shut down again. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.